Some say it's all about 1925 and beyond. The podcast. KC 100 year celebration with Pete A. Kennedy and Marlon A. Kennedy.
Welcome. It's the 1925 and Beyond podcast. I am one of your hosts, Pete A. Kennedy. I am here with my co-host, Big Brother Marlon A. Kennedy, and we have another special guest right out of North Street with us today. But before we get to the guest, we got to drop the credits. I went to Kingston College between the years of 1992 to 1995. Played Coles 93-94, had one championship under the belt, and then moved on to Manning Cup in 1995. But it's not about us, it's about the guests. So let's move on. Hey, Big Brother, what you have to say?
Thank you, Pete. Welcome everybody to another episode of 1925 and Beyond. Also a Casey old boy myself, and went from 1986 to 1993 and played cricket at all levels. So it's really a pleasure to have another guest with us today.
Yes.
A friend and brother of mine, Fortis brother, Mr. Albert Anderson. Just prior to us starting it, we're sharing a story with Pete. It's a small world, and I could have been a part of Albert's family, but I tiptoed around that. But it's all in good fun. But Albert, welcome and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me, Pete. I appreciate it.
Good. So, in true fashion, Albert, we always ask that our guests give us their story, walk us through their Fortis history, and start from your time before KC. What was that like?
Okay, so that's Albert Alexander Anderson Jr. Yeah.
Okay.
Firstborn of my father. Yes, second from my mother. So I had a struggle coming up through primary school and even high school with that first name. Because, when at that time when you have Michael and Kevin and George, you had Albert. So, Mass Albert come naturally to most. So, yes, and it was not, I didn't have an appreciation for that name for so much time until, when I got mature enough, and I realized what my father actually did for me in terms of being a father.
Mm-hmm.
I came to appreciate the name and, appreciated the fact that he chose to give me his name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, Sir Albert, as you're saying this, because this, is going to be seen from people all over the globe, and we want people to understand clearly what you just said. So what you just said is that growing up, when you were younger, your nickname was Mass Albert, and you did not come to appreciate that name until you understood the setup your father did for you from a maturity and leadership perspective.
Yes, man, exactly.
All right. Because you say it in such a way, somebody go and watch this in England and said, "What did he just say?" Right? And we just want to person. That them clear to understand.
So
Mass Albert was the name.
Mass Albert.
Yes, sir.
Was the name. Yes. So I didn't grow with my father really. I grew up with a cousin of his, and I grew up predominantly in El Shapa community. Okay. Yes, where I lived from. I was basically 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Before
and
that,
that's across Portmore, right?
Yeah, Portmore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that's where I lived for up to this day. Because when I left school and all of that, and I got my own residence, I decided that Elsha is the place I want to be. So I've lived here for basically all my life.
Wow.
Prior to that, I lived in Duane Park, Washington Gardens area. And I went to Duane Park Primary School. So going to Duane Park Primary School, when it came around to the time for taking common entrance, first choice, which is probably blasphemy now for me to say it on this platform, but the first choice of as high school was Calabar High School.
No! No!
Hey, Bertie, we have done this.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a wrap.
Ever. We have done that one, Bertie.
No, we want to know the reason behind that. We want to know the reason behind.
Yes. So I put in the disclaimer before. Now. I said I went to Duane Park Primary School, which is I was living in Washington Gardens.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, like about 95% of the boys going to school, Calabar was the choice.
Got it.
Okay.
Yes, and you want to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
So, Calabar was my first choice. Even worse, the second choice wasn't even KC. The second choice was Wilmot.
No, me first start call you Mass Albert for the rest of it, man. Mass Albert, man.
But
No, man, Mass
you have to go
Albert.
back there. Yeah, man, I have to go back there. So,
Okay, hold on, before you tell us the last one. So KC was on the list somewhere? Was
no,
KC
remember
on the...
at that time you only got 2 choices.
Only
Oh,
2.
so yeah,
Okay.
There was a third choice.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a third choice, just 2 choices.
Calabar and Woolman.
Yes.
Okay.
Calabar and Woolman. So, I remember the results used to come out in the Gleaner. So early one evening I was at Crabbush in Elshad looking for crabs, and I saw one of my friends coming through the bush to say, well, my aunt says I need to come home and go to bed because I have to get up early in the morning to go buy the Gleaner to see which school I pass for. So I went to Half Tree early the morning and bought the Gleaner.
From Portmore? No,
Yeah,
from Queenie Park. Got it.
Yeah, man, you have to go Half Tree to buy Gleaner, man. Gleaner wasn't in Portmore at that time.
Got it.
Yes, everything was centered in the corporate area.
Yeah.
So I bought the Gleaner and went through Calabar, went through Woolmers, no names. So I'm saying, no, man. So I started crying, because, I can't go back home after 5 somewhere to run away too, because, a proper strappings you're going to get when you reach home.
Yeah.
You'll come on entrance, So anyway, while I was on the bus and crying, the conductress came around and said, well, you asked why I was crying, and I explained to her, and she said, well, sometimes you have to look through the papers because they put you in another school. So, anyway, I started at Alpha. You understand? Because I don't know if they put me in Alpha, but I check every school.
Alphabetical order from A to...
Yeah, man.
No,
So
Bertie, me thinking I can say you
Alpha,
start at Arden, Bertie. Me thinking I say you start at Arden, you start at
No,
Alpha.
Man, You understand? And with what is happening with gender today, it would be more acceptable today, no? Start at Alpha, Anyway, when I arrived at Kingston College, the 7th name under Kingston College was my name, Albert Anderson. So I use that to say that when persons ask me, I always say, I didn't choose KC. KC chose me.
He chose you, yes.
Yeah. And I have never regretted that I was placed at KC. Never. Not from the first day to this day, because we are still attending KC. So
yeah, man.
So I have never regretted the fact that God saw it fit for me to attend Kingston College. Yeah?
What year was that, Albert?
That was in 1984.
Okay.
Yes. All right. So my journey through KC was from 1984 to 1990. I didn't go to sixth form. I did 1 year repeat of fifth form. Yes, and then I left. I actually did a year at Camperdown. Well, actually 3 months, because when I went in on that first and second month, and I realized the culture, I could adjust to the culture of that school. I didn't go back to school until the exam month. Yeah.
This was Camperdown sixth form.
But I couldn't adapt to the change of culture. It was such a drastic change. Yeah.
Okay.
I just went in and did the exam. But my journey at KC, KC is an experience by itself, because I was the shortest person in my year. I was the shortest person in the starting year and in my graduation year. Yeah. And
so you grow after you leave school.
Yeah, I grew after I left school.
So you never experienced puberty until you're about 18.
But I tell you, boy, it was a rough time for me, But so what KC taught you is that KC taught me how to live in very diverse environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because believe me, the bullying, the name calling, because up to this day, I recently bought one of those bricks, those pavers that you go.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
I put Albert Elmerford Anderson because that is my nickname at
Yeah.
KC, Elmerford.
Fun. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
man. And I don't know who know Elmerford, but
Yeah.
Elmerford is that big-head, short gentleman with that shotgun that keeps running down Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how I got that name is that the idea behind it was that my head was too big for my body because I was so small. I didn't really grow. It's when I started growing that my body grew to fit my head.
Yeah.
And my head was way in advance of my body. Yeah. So that is how I got that name, Elmerford. And believe you me, it taught me how to deal with adversity, how to toughen up. I was on the choir for 2 days. I always tell people that, I'm proud to be on the choir for 2 days. After 2 days, the seven voice change. Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but I figured that is because going to KC I had to get vocal. I realized that I could be that laid back because you would get pushed all over the place.
Stand up for yourself.
Yeah, man, you have to stand up for yourself, and as well as you associate yourself with some bigger persons who could stand up for you as well. Yes, and so it taught you how to adapt to certain situations so that you can come out to be the best person that you can be. And that is what I've always appreciated about KINGSTON College. Yeah,
man.
So,
were there any, because it look like you're going to move on past through graduation now, but were there any students, anybody that left an impression on you, whether fellow students, teacher, coach, parent, supporter?
So I wouldn't even mention the word coach because I don't have an athletic bone in my body. You understand? Right? There was nothing at all. The best I was at is money football. Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, I remember that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that is the best sport.
Yeah, with the foot stick.
Yeah, with the foot stick. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That is the best thing, man. Don't put me in any other athletic field whatsoever. And then I normally rationalize it by saying that I was that small. That well, really and truly, I couldn't participate in anything really. But then you had some short people on the basketball team, so it's not really a good rationale, but I'll take it. Yeah,
you work with that.
yeah, it works for me.
Yeah, man.
So you had some teachers that really made some good impact on my life. My favorite subject was English. So the English teacher, I had a Miss Barnaby. Yeah, at Miss Barnaby. There was also a form teacher that had Miss Mushet that really had some good impact. And you can't leave out Mr. B. Yeah?
Brian.
Mr. Brian is Mr. Brian is a boss. Yeah. Put on 2 good caning and you still, even with the caning, you still have respect for Mr. B, the boss. Mr. B talk to you like you're a man.
But you ended up on the same height or him the taller than you?
But I just be the tall, I mean, the boss. Let me tell you, say, it is severe sharpness, Yeah, man. But Mr. B was the boss, man. Mr. B talk you like a man, I'm sure you respect. And then, in return, you give Mr. B the I don't know anybody that can leave KC that has a bad word about Mr. B. And he was just that man. And then for a short time, I also had Douglas Paris.
Oh wow!
Yeah, man, that's a great man right there.
Yeah.
Douglas, and as you know, we had Miss Douglas. Yeah, you had Miss Urquhart. Yeah, these persons really helped to mold and shape me, especially in terms of discipline. And because as a part of the pavilion and the mentorship program, which we will go and talk about later, where we are visiting the school now and looking at the students there. So for me at KC, I didn't really do any extracurricular activity. The one that I got involved with was Cadere.
Okay.
That normally teaches some level of discipline and all of that. And I was in Cadere for about 3 years until I decided that I can't get any promotion, so it never make any sense because I am not the type of person who will be in one place doing the same thing. And as long as I'm not going upwards, then I'll move on. So, but it will be difficult with my height and my stature to get a movement because cadet you have to command, respect, let you your vocals, etc., etc. So, yes, I move out from cadet. I didn't do cadet. For the most part, so I went through, so the classes. So I went 7, 8 Gibson, 9 Francis, 10, 11 McDonald. Yeah. So over time, I realized that I am coming into PSE. I realized that 7 Gibson card, they used to give you they used to place you, I think, according to your common entrance grades. So you actually had the brightest class on first half.
Yes.
Yeah, so when I came in, I realized that I was probably Gibson was about 3rd at the time. And then I moved up to Francis by 3rd form, which was the 2nd. And by the time I reached 4th form, I was in McDonald, which was the brightest business class.
Nice.
So, yeah, actually made some progress,
Yeah, but, you're never big for nothing, Bertie, man.
Yeah, never big for nothing, man. Up to this day, I have a friend named Craig Davis. I don't even know Craig Davis.
Yeah, man.
The footballer dream life, Manning Cup Pepsi. And up to the other day, because Craig and I are very close now, although strangely enough, we never exchange a word with each other while we're at Kingston College.
Really?
That's me a footballer.
Yeah, the ball of them stay, Pete, after them one little world.
I would lose some of my football in respect,
Yeah.
So it was more for me about academics. I wasn't the brightest, but I was more like I was the middle of the class person, not at the back, but not at the front. At the front, you get picked on too often, and if you're at the back, you get picked on as well because the troublemakers are at the back and the bright people are at the front. So I try to stay in the middle and over to one of the corner where I'm kind of inconspicuous because I don't want to teach and then, but I know for English it was a totally opposite for maths, maths, why maths?
You're beaten.
Why maths, boy? I remember one time the teacher called me up and asked me to do a maths calculation on the board. And I went up and when I finished calculating, teacher was sitting with his mouth wide open. Man said, what is incredible, is that the answer is correct. The man said, but nothing else whatsoever. Nothing else whatsoever. Man said, Prior wrote that starting line. Every other line and like incorrect.
You're a magician.
Yeah, the man said formula wrong, everything wrong, but straight back and man, amazing that the answer is correct.
So you get the answer.
Yeah.
Where you get the answer?
Yeah, so so it played out in my CXC result because I always tell people that I have 15 in maths. Yeah, I did maths 4 times. I got 3 4s and a 3. And when I got the 3 wasn't in my pass, but I was so glad to get the 3 and I'm going to get another 4. Yeah.
Wow.
So thank God for accounts because otherwise I don't know where I would be in the world today. You have to have a numeric subject.
No, Bertie, right? You say FKC 1990, correct?
Yes.
And all these years passed, and we spoke to VP Brown, and that's still a gap in the school. Maths. Maths is one of the subjects that and we'll talk about that later, but that's I wanted to make the connection where the faculty now has put in place something to bridge that gap, understanding the math within the school. And I must say, I follow you in the same verse that math wasn't my greatest subject as well. So you're not the only one.
Yeah. And one of the things I think worked against me with math is that I really could have, and up to this day, I still can. I can't associate the dynamics of maths with what you end up doing in life, really. You understand? I can't understand.
But
some
that is true, Bertie, because what people say in real life scenario, there are only certain basics you need to understand, and algebra and all of them simultaneous equation is highly overrated unless you're going to become a scientist. Outside of
Exactly.
that, you just need the
Exactly.
basics.
Yeah,
Basics.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's sad because persons are not accepted in university because they can't pass maths. You understand? But a lot of the maths that you would do to get to university, you never use it again in life.
Never.
Yep.
Never. If you're not going
Never
to
use it
go
again
in
in life.
actuary science or
Yeah.
math degree,
Exactly.
then yeah, but I understand.
Exactly.
So what happened after
Yeah,
you
so-
graduate now, Bertie?
So I graduated. I did when I graduated, I actually did some amount of accounting. I did AAT level 1 and level 2. And it's because my father had this big ambition for me to be a chartered accountant.
Yep.
Yeah? I never shared that dream, but however,
Yeah.
he was the one paying for the courses at college. So I started, I got to level 2 and then I decided, no, this isn't for me. So I stopped. I told him that I didn't want to do it anymore and I wanted to do something else. And he said, well, if you want to do something else, you have to pay for it. So I said, all right, fine. Yeah, so that is where my association with accounts ended. However, by this time, I was now working at Customs. And it actually helped me in terms of getting a promotion, some additional pay. They moved me to a accounts branch. And from there now, I started doing accounts to that extent. After a while,
So what year you started working at Customs?
Okay, yes, I started Customs in 1992.
Okay.
So yeah, December this year, I will be here for 33 years. You know,
Wow.
Still there pushing on.
yeah, man. So it's been a lifelong career for me.
Yeah.
When I actually got the job, my father said to me that I shouldn't spend any more than 2 years here because he doesn't want any son of his working for the government. The government
And him forget say you and numbers don't go too well. So you're still not done your 2 years there yet.
You're still not done the 2 years. You don't realize, yeah? Yeah.
The past 6 months.
I want to tell you like, you know.
Halfway, 1 year I'm gone.
You see a maths argument in there. I remember it's about 5-6 years ago. I came out to him and tell him that so daddy, you remember when I did that add maths, because I actually did add maths to repeat because I'd done 7 subjects initially and I got 4. So they said they said that they could carry me to 6 form and I am young, so I should repeat. So on that basis, they said that I had to do 4 subjects for the repeat, but I only had 3. So you know the subject that they gave me for the 4th subject?
Add maths, you said. Mash up your mates.
I just got a 4 in maths. I know they're saying that I should add maths. So, I went into the add maths exam and within 5 minutes for blanco, that means I have to write the name and, write the question. But totally lost, I have a 2.
I hope you didn't spell your name correctly.
But I'm not even sure of that, I'm not even sure. But as a result of that, I came out, when the result came out, I got a U. So when I carried it to him, to daddy, I said, well, daddy, result here. So daddy looked and said, U, what is a U? He said, daddy, university pass that. I said, okay, all right, you look.
I never questioned it. So just the other day,
Never question it.
Mean ungraded.
Never question it. So, about 5 years ago, when I can't get beaten again.
Yeah.
It's all right.
While we to over 20 years. Wow.
Yeah, man.
I saw
They couldn't find anything on the paper at all. So I get ungraded. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So how was it at Customs, Yeah. Tell us about your Customs journey.
Yeah, so I was in accounts for a while and I realized that accounts won't work for me because the figures, I just don't love figures. And as a result, I applied to contraband enforcement team, which is basically an arm of customs that deal with, as the word suggests, contraband. Contraband is anything that is being smuggled. So gun, drugs, anything at all. Because if you're bringing a motor vehicle, you're bringing a motor vehicle, you have your permit, import permit, etc. But you falsify documents and then you pay the incorrect duty. That motor vehicle becomes contraband.
Okay.
Right? So yes, I will deal with anything that is being smuggled.
Mhm.
All right. So I went to the contraband, applied. I went to the contraband enforcement team in 1998.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that is where I found that I had a love for
I
custom.
love, yep.
All right. Yeah. That is where I got a love for custom because I felt that I was making a meaningful impact for Jamaica now because, you're stopping gun and drugs and all of these things from entering and leaving the borders. And it's not just about revenue. A lot of persons think of customs and they think revenue only. But that is where I felt fulfilled. And I stayed there for several years. I was there until I just got moved from there in 2022.
Oh, okay.
So I actually did 24 years.
Yeah, 1998 to 2022, yeah.
And over the period of time, I rose to the position of director of the contraband enforcement team. So during that journey, I was sent to Montego Bay for almost 12 years as a part of that journey. But it has been a fulfilling journey. The experiences, the life experiences that being out there, the adrenaline rush, of being in some, you get into some dangerous situations in your life several times by persons who really are
deal with some unscrupulous characters and things like
yeah,
that.
man. Some real unscrupulous characters. And then when you're living in a place like Montego Bay, that is even worse because there's no way to hide in Montego Bay. It's such a small and congested space. So you basically had to limit your interactions and limit the areas that you're going to.
Yeah.
And overall, it was just an exciting, fulfilling experience being in. And that is where basically I love for customs came about. If I had stayed in account, I am certain I wouldn't be in customs today. I would have left it and gone to something else. So, that's a fulfilling part of customs for me.
So you're now president of the Fortis Pavilion. So for those who are not aware, a lot of people are familiar with the Old Boys Association and the locally and the chapters overseas. Tell us now, give us a history about the formation of the Fortis Pavilion and what is the pavilion doing now?
All right, so the Fortis Pavilion came about in 2009. Yes, 2008, 2009, somewhere about there. And it was the brainchild of several KC old boys, most of the class of 91, 92. Yes, those were the persons who came up with the idea. And the brainchild behind that, this entity was Edgar Lewis. Yeah. Edgar came together with a group of KC old boys and said, well, there's a gap between the KC students and the KCOBA, the KC Old Boys Association. Because what the OBA is centered on really is financial input, mostly in terms of giving back to the school, in terms of financial, large projects, etc. But there is that gap now to reach the students, be more tangible, be more on the ground.
Mentorship.
Deal with the low-hanging fruits, you understand? So as a result of that, the Fortis Pavilion was born. And what the Fortis Pavilion basically does is provide our main focus is in providing mentorship for the students of Kingston College. And our attention is mostly focused on Melbourne Campus, which for those who do not know Kingston College, is that we have a Melbourne campus and we have a campus on North Street. And so Melbourne is basically first to third form. And North Street is some amount of third form as well to sixth form. And so we focus on the first to third farmers. And what we are trying to do is to instill a sense of pride, you know, instill some amount of ambition, try to motivate the young Fortisans to be the best that they can be, present the best of themselves as a Kingston College student to the society. And as a result of this, what we try to do, we try to go into the classrooms, talk to the students, just to try to provide guidance on how they can best traverse this avenue called Kingston College, because it's not the easiest avenue to traverse. And additionally, we do also some projects, some projects that don't require a big investment, like we do painting of the school, we do cleaning of the campus. We try to give to certain projects like the School Challenge Quiz team. We have been sponsoring the Blazers for some time now. We also have a trophy that we normally give out at prize giving. I don't think we have done that for a couple of years, but it's something that we are revisiting. We do not have a large pool of funds. We try to raise funds through a banquet that we keep on an annual basis that we call our Black Tie event, Black Tie banquet, which we are trying to bring in a sports hall of fame. We are looking at the blessing of the school to bring in a Kingston College sports hall of fame. But as it is now, we still haven't gotten the blessing of the school. So as it is, we are calling it the Fortis Pavilion Sports Hall of Fame. We have honored some very prominent members of our sporting fraternity over the years, to include Davian Clark, Olympian, Neville Oxford. We have done recently. We have done Ibla.
You're not touched Mikey Holding yet.
No, we have been trying to get it. That's a very elusive character. We have been trying to get him, but we haven't been able to for some time now. Last year we did Boaji last year, yes, and Fabian Davis. We have also evolved now to, apart from the persons who we honor in terms of apart from who we induct into the Hall of Fame, we are also now have a category we call honorees, which we are looking at teachers who have been there for a while. We did Miss Douglas last year. We are looking at admin persons from the school, persons who have offered support in terms of giving up their time freely. We did a manager from the football program, which is Banks, Derek Banks. Everybody know Banks. He has been a KC old boy who has been. He is one of the persons that is the main reason behind our resurgence in our Manning Cup football program.
Nice.
Because remember, we went 32 years without a Manning. So he was one of the persons who jumped on board and said, listen, this cannot happen, you know, great Kingston College. How can it be 32 years without a Manning Cup, you know? And for me, I was glad for that, because I'm probably one of the worst in terms of my selection, in terms of support of teams, because I am a Kingston College supporter at the time who had gone 32 years without winning. I support Arsenal Football Club. I support West Indies Cricket, and I support New York Knicks. So, boy, I tell you, drought, severe drought.
Yeah.
So
at least KC, I turn it around for the rest of them. Hope them follow.
Yes, and turn it around. Yeah. So we have several distinguished gentlemen who has acted in the position of president for the pavilion. The most recent being Wayne Robertson. Yeah. Yes, JP. Very, very, very good young man. Very Wayne is an inspiration to me, although he's a younger person. Because he just has this level of professionalism about him that I admire. So kudos to Wayne. So we have targeted several projects over the years, but this year we have a special one which I have to mention, and that is a sneaker project, a Fortis sneaker project, and we have started putting it out there. We're getting some good reviews on it. We intend to. They are already in Ireland. We intend to clear them this week and see how much money we can generate for our centenary. So that would be our biggest fundraiser ever. From the Fortis Pavilion has been in existence. It's a step outside of our comfort zone.
And what kind of sneakers are these? And are they branded Kingston College or just a sneaker drive to sell?
So they are branded Fortis.
Got it.
All right. So they are purple and white. They have the majority purple with less white and the majority white with less purple. But they are branded Fortis. And everybody in Jamaica associate the word Fortis with Kingston College.
Yep.
And so we don't have to.
Good job.
Yeah, that's how we don't have to say KC for people know that it's KC. So we are looking forward to that one. That will be a good one coming up. But I say this to say that the Fortis Pavilion, I am in my second term as president because I started in 2022. And I was recently re-elected to serve an additional 2 years. So my tenure will be up next year. But it's a privilege for me to be the president in the centenary year, you know? Big thing. I remember our 75th celebration. I was at KC at that time when they were doing the 75th year to see that 25 years later, I can be an integral part of Kingston College just to see them. You know, they give me a sense of pride. Yeah, especially given that I didn't choose to come here. Yeah, so it's really a good thing.
No, with that being said, Bertie, right? And I think that's a nice segue to the next thing that we normally ask our guests, right? When you talk about selection. What would be, and you can take a couple seconds to think about this one, but what would be your one memorable or highlight moment at KC?
All right, so
it could include student, faculty, parent, doesn't matter.
Let me tell you, what cemented my mind and cemented my mentality to Kingston College occurred in the following year, but in my first year at Kingston.
Wow.
You see, where that walk from North Street to the stadium, that sense of pride that you get just walking along South Camp Road, up Tom Red Camp, you know, all the way up to that stadium. Just to see persons passing by and persons cheering you on. There can be no greater feeling.
Man, a couple old boy talk about
and the thing with that, you know, is that when you make that walk and the band is playing and nowadays you can get some girls to come cheer just on a purple one. Yes. But what is lovely though is the two distinct reactions to the passerby in traffic.
Yes, sir.
Either a man a shout Fortis or somebody a say on the dead on the car win. But that sort of national, you know, rivalry that exists out there and camaraderie as well is it's lovely.
That sense of pride, man. Listen, there can be nothing better than that. Nothing can be.
All when we come 6th and 7th, guys and make and vibes are going
Yeah. And people always say we're a cult, you know.
And I agree.
And there's a bad association with a cult, but I will associate myself with this cult any day, anytime. Yeah, forever.
Yeah.
So Bertie,
I support that.
So Bertie, we want to say thank you for your time.
Yes,
we really appreciate
Very
it.
nice, yes.
You know, it's really good to hear your story. And the thing is, you know, there are similarities throughout with a lot of us as KC Old Boys, but there are some uniqueness that we get, you know?
Yes.
And I will be sure that if I'm if I'm ever on some sort of sojourn, some travel, and me see a brush bag mark Elmer Ford, me know who are the owner of the bag there. You understand?
Yes, yes, yes.
So as what we ask our guests is to two things right at this point, three things at this point in time for you. One, to wish KC happy 100. Two, to leave a positive message for the current student body and staff. And three, any contact details that you have for the Fortis Pavilion, to just drop that here in terms of social media handle and whatever, and for us to follow up, and then we'll see. So let's just hear you start us off with the happy 100, Bertie.
All right, so happy 100 birthday, Kingston College. I am proud to say that I'm a past student of this noble institution. I am proud to say that I am living the life that Bishop Gibson sought for me and sought for many young Black students at the time, so that we can be a model to society. And I hope that 100 years from now, Kingston College will have the same impact on all the students that are there as they have had on my life. And I will forever be indebted to Kingston College.
All right. And a positive message for the
and just to the youngsters, especially those who have just embarked on this journey. I just want you to know that you're at the best place for the development of your talents.
Yes.
Unlike other institutions, Kingston College is the only institution that will offer you a pathway to anything, the good, the bad, the indifferent. Yeah? Whatever you want to be. Kingston College will bring out the best of that in you. All you have to do is ensure that you make use of the time there and ensure that you become the best of what you want to be.
Wow.
Excellent. And what about how can we touch base or follow the Fortis Pavilion?
Okay, so the Fortis Pavilion, you can reach us. Our website is www.fortispavilion.com. And just to say that pavilion is spelled with one L. We find a lot of persons spell pavilion with two L's. And also there we have a Facebook page, so you can go on Facebook and you search for Fortis Pavilion. And we can also be found at fortispavilion@gmail.com.
Nice, nice. Thank you, Bertie. Thank you. Pete, your show.
My gosh. So you talked about it, unless for those who just want to kind of get a little snippet, we like to share, but there you can visit the website Fortis Pavilion with one L.com, and there's a website. As you see, the shoes
And
is
the
about
sneakers.
drop. So you have the predominantly purple, then you have the predominantly white. As you see, the guys doing the work. Great job. Check out the website and please support Fortis Pavilion. No, I did some research here, Bertie, and I would be remiss of me not to show this for those of who are watching across the world what Elmer Ford look like. We just want to that's Elmo, right?
Hey.
Okay.
Hey,
So-
Bertie, when this man comes back to the island, me I go hold him and tie him up in
Yeah, man.
This man are rude,
Just
man.
hold him for me.
This man are rude.
That's hold him for me.
But
Yeah.
1925 and Beyond podcast listeners and viewers, here you have it. The president of the Fortis Pavilion for his second term. The man who has never regretted the decision he never made. And that is to actually come to Kingston College between the years of 1984 to 1990. And because of that, you can see he breathes the Fortis, the bird may fall, whole mantra since he's joined since 1984. Thank you for your leadership, sir. Thank you for your time. I am looking forward to offering my services towards Fortis Pavilion as well. A matter of fact, I have a shirt. I'm the only one in Florida that has a shirt that says Fortis Pavilion that Marlon brought
All right.
years ago. a short
Great.
sleeve one that I still have. So I do have some type of garment that supports the organization. And no matter what, regardless across the world, I want to say this from our podcast. No matter where you have Fortis Pavilion, KC Old Boy BA, it's one Fortis. And when it's one Fortis, we have to end it with the greatest motto that was ever created out of the greatest institution ever, right? And it goes like this. Just join us as we start. Fortis, Cadere,
Cadere,
CEDRE,
CEDRE,
none Potest.
Potest. The brave may fall,
but
never yield.
Again, see you on the next episode. Walk good. Cheers. Thank you again, Mr. President. We appreciate you. And no matter what, them say, Elmer Ford forever. Fortis now, Fortis then, Fortis forever.
No, Fortis forever.